Hey guys, I'm just editing the video now. I literally just realized whilst making the edit for this that the audio was a little bit stuffed up because I had the mic a little bit close to my mouth. I'll definitely in future be a bit more careful. I'm still getting used to this mic. In any case, other than the breathing, I hope you enjoy the video. Hey guys, how you going? It's Mysterion here. I hope that you are recovering from your hangovers, and I hope this year is doing better for you. It's the 4th of January, the time I'm making this. As to when this will come out, I'm not really sure on the date yet. But as you may or may not know, there are tensions rising between Iran and the United States again, and I thought I would go into a bit of detail about that and really talk about that with you, just so you make sense of it all, and yeah. So, the United States, the Secretary of Defense, Christopher Miller, has reversed the decision instructing the USS Nimitz to remain in place due to purporting Iranian threat against the President Trump and other government officials. So, you may or may not know that a official of the Iranian government has actually come out on Twitter and has threatened United States government staff, including President Trump, basically saying you will never be safe no matter where you are in the world, right? And the United States has reacted to this by keeping one of their battleships in that region that is controlled by Iran, or is very close to Iran. And this sort of is there as a mechanism to say, you know what, if you're going to threaten us, guess what? We're going to leave this here as a show of force to show you can threaten us all you like. We're going to bomb the crap out of you if you do anything. That's basically what this is, right? It's there to show that the United States is not scared of Iran whatsoever, right? And at the minute we're in significant times because right now, if you don't know, it is the 1 year anniversary of Qasem Soleimani's death within Iran. He was assassinated by the United States when his convoy was leaving the airport. He was killed along with another important member of the Iranian government and I believe 8 other officials. So it's a year after that happened, right? And in Iran at the minute, they're holding vigils and things like this. They're really trying to remember Qasem Soleimani 1 year on. And I was watching, videos of these people, of the citizens of Iran at these events, and it's really clear to me how much they really dislike the US. They believe that Iran is a really strong country, and they believe that the United States and Israel are scared of Iran, right? Which is an interesting perspective to have, right? Because I know, so Iran doesn't like Israel whatsoever, and Iran backs other forces to go against Israel. So, for example, I'm half Lebanese, right? So in Lebanon we have something called the Hezbollah, and the Hezbollah is a terrorist organization that's also part of the government. It's awful, but it is a thing. So they're terrorists, but they're also part of the government, and they are funded by Iran. And literally the Hezbollah's goal is to mess with Israel. It's literally to remove Israel from existence. That's the point of Hezbollah, and it's funded by Iran. And we also had a very important key member. So it was Mohsen Fakhrizadeh. I hope I'm saying that right. He was an Iranian scientist who was killed, right? And he was assassinated, and basically, Iran is blaming Israel for that. Okay, so what I'm trying to say to you here is simply that the tensions are rising even further. It's an anti-West sentiment over there. They don't like America. They want to remove the United States from that region. That is their goal. That's Iran's goal to do that. Because from their perspective, right, they've just killed the second most powerful person in Iran a year ago, right? And then Israel has killed a scientist over there. That was also a very important person. Right? So it does seem, at least coming into 2021, there is some sort of stuff that is passing through from 2020 that needs to be dealt with, including the tensions between Iran and the United States. And it gets even further, more complicated, as the United States is not joking when it comes to this type of stuff, in all honesty. So, in the last days of 2020, the year we all want to forget, I should say, the US flew nuclear-capable B-52 bombers to the Middle East, prompting a senior Iranian military advisor to tweet directly at Trump, warning him not to turn the new year into a morning for Americans, which is the threat that I was mentioning to you. Right? So obviously, the United States did this to say, guess what? We're strong. We'll take you on. And this advisor has basically said, we're ready to kill you. We're going to do something horrible to you. That's basically what this says. And obviously it makes the tensions even more worse in the region. And Iran has actually appealed to the United Nations Security Council on Thursday to stop the US from conducting what it called military adventurism in the Gulf and the Oman Sea, including dispatching nuclear-capable bombers to the region, declaring that it did not want conflict, but would defend itself if necessary. Now, you see, that's kind of weird to me, because if it didn't want conflict, why did a military advisor threaten the country? Because whilst I understand that, of course, Iran is going to be mad that the United States has killed one of their leaders, right? But the fact of the matter is, a military advisor is not doing a good job if that military advisor is going to make those tensions worse by threatening literally one of the most powerful countries in the world. How stupid can you get? Like, seriously. Anyway, according to US sources, some Iranian military forces have ramped up their readiness levels in recent days, having moved short-range ballistic missiles into Iraq, where they could potentially strike at US bases, as Iran did in the days following Soleimani's killing last year. So what this says to me is, it seems to me that they are going to maybe bomb another US base. Because if you didn't know, last year they bombed a US base. But the US base they bombed, thankfully, no one was killed, no one was injured. There was no one at the base at that area in the time. So no Americans were actually harmed. It was more or less a show of force that Iran is not kidding around either. And it's not looking good, because coming into a new presidency, it's very difficult to know what's actually going to happen. Whether or not Biden is actually going to be up to the task of dealing with Iran or not. Because you have to think of it this way: Biden is already concerned about the virus, right? The virus is one of his big things that I believe in my opinion, helped him win the presidency. I believe if it wasn't for coronavirus, Trump would have been president again. That's my personal belief. If you don't agree with me, that's fine. But that's my personal belief. Is the reason that Biden won the presidency was because Trump royally screwed up America because he didn't take COVID serious enough. And anyway, so Trump has taken a consistently hard line on Iran, okay? And with the two countries appearing close to war around the time of Soleimani's death, through tensions had relaxed considerably during the COVID pandemic, which is what I'm trying to say. So after the COVID pandemic actually occurred, they were relaxed. They were not really at each other's throats. But, a year on, at least in Iran's eyes, it is a tragedy of the country. And further into this, with the president's time in office running out, some analysts in Washington speculate Trump could trigger a conflict with Iran to distract from his apparently failing, baseless attempts to overturn the election loss and complicate his success plans for the region. So what this is talking about here, so I'm getting all this information from 9 News. Essentially, they're saying that Donald Trump's claims to the presidency, even though he lost the election, are baseless and they shouldn't really be considered. right? So what they're saying here is simply that they believe that Donald Trump is ramping up tensions in Iran to screw up Biden when he gets into office, right? Because that's what I was getting at. Biden is already going to be concerned about COVID, right? COVID was his winner, in my opinion. That won him the election. The fact that because when I watched the presidential debate, whilst I agreed, I'm a Trump supporter. I am a Trump supporter. You might think I'm an awful person. That's okay. I'm a Trump supporter. But what I will say is Biden had a better response to COVID, right? Because that country is being screwed by COVID, right? And that's why I believe Biden won the election, as I'm saying again. And Biden is more concerned, in my opinion, with saving America from COVID, not Iran, right? And obviously, as soon as Trump leaves office, right, if he was to do something really, really ridiculous before he left office, Biden would sort of crap himself. Like he would be fumbling around and have to deal with it, and it would make him look really bad. And that's what this news article I'm discussing with you here is sort of saying. But look, guys, uh, it's only the start of 2021. Hopefully, things improve within the region. Hopefully we can see less tensions within the region because if a war was to occur, it's going to impact other countries, including Australia. So it's not great for anybody, in all honesty. So hopefully 2021 ends up being better than 2020. Hopefully this stuff ends up easing. If any details come out, I'll make sure to talk about it a little bit. And yeah, I wish you the best for 2021 and peace. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share.